Hi everyone, it's Coronadon here. In this video, I'm going to be giving you an update and kind of a run-by-run as to how a Mighty Empires campaign plays. So basically, you set up the board, so you randomly place tiles, people choose where the capital cities go. There's then an event phase where there's a whole bunch of different things people can choose from. A revenue phase where your mines earn money. A challenge phase where you challenge other players to battle phase where you play the battle phase, and then after the battle phase you earn points depending on how well you did, which you can then use to conquer new tiles, and you can also build mines and cities and castles on those tiles. So from the previous round, this is the outcomes. So if you massacre your opponent, so a greater than 50% difference in battle points, you gain 5 points. If you have a solid victory, so we've done that as between 30 and 50% difference, you get 4 points. A narrow victory, which is 10 to 30% difference, is 3 points. A draw, so between 0 and 10%, is 2 points for each player, and if you lose you get 1 point. And Chris here, he did a event which was all or nothing, so if he lost or didn't win, he would get 0 points. So what can you do with these points? So you can use 2 empire points to claim a tile adjacent to one of your own. If you want to claim a tile which is owned by another player, you have to spend 3 empire points. If that tile is a mountain tile, you have to add an extra point. And if that tile has a city or a castle on it, it's also 1 extra empire point. You can also choose to build on one of your existing tiles for 1 empire point. You can add a castle, city, or a mine to a tile, but mines can only be added to places like mountains and things that are next to rivers. And also for 1 empire point, you can do a raid, which adds 2d6 times 10 gold pieces to your treasury, and this gold pieces can be used in battles to gain extra points. So instead of playing a 2500 point game, you could spend 50 gold to play 2550 points. Okay, so taking a look at how the map looks, we've updated since the last time because we have some new players joining, so we've expanded a little bit, put some gaps around, just made it a little bit easier for some new players to join. And here is the map after the new players have joined. So we have 4 new players. We have Saurian Ancients player, Infernal Dwarves player, second Dread Elves, and a second Highborn Elves player. They've kind of set themselves up down the bottom half of the continent. So now that the new players have joined, we moved on to the event phase. So the event phase is done in order from the smallest to the largest empire. So the empire sizes are done if you have a tile that counts as 1, if it has a city on it that counts as 2 tiles. And in the case of a tie, whoever has the most cities has larger, whoever has the most, after that the most castles is larger, and then after that, if you're still even, then it's just a dice roll to determine who's the smallest and who's the largest. And then in that order, people pick events, and here is the list of events that people have chosen. Rich with his Dark Elves went for the Scouts event, which means that his opponent has to deploy his entire army first, yet Rich still gets the first turn, which is pretty useful. The Elite Army event means that you can exceed the normal allowance for special and rare, but of course you still need your core points. Land Grab is when you buy a tile for the next turn, its cost is reduced by 1, so even if you lose, you can still claim a new tile, which is pretty cool. The All or Nothing event, basically if you win either of the victories, so solid, narrow, massacre, you get an extra 2 empire points to use, but if you draw or lose, you get 0 instead of 1. Fool's Gold, you play on an opponent player, and basically they cannot get any money from the revenue phase, so their mines have fake gold basically. Diplomacy you play on another player means that they cannot challenge you for that round, so if you are feeling especially threatened by someone, especially someone bordering your territory, you can play that so that they can't attack you. Building Boom is used to turn castles that you own into cities, or to place a mine on an existing tile. So Scouts again, Building Boom, and another All or Nothing. So there are a few other ones which you can choose. There's one called Disaster, where you choose an opponent player and they have to roll a dice for every mine or city or castle that they own, and a roll of 1 it is destroyed. So it's quite a dick move. So we haven't picked that in this game, or this round at least. Moving on to the revenue phase. For every mine that someone owns, if it's on a river tile, you roll 2d6 times 10, and that's the amount of gold you get. If it's on a mountain, you roll 3d6 times 10, and you get that much gold. And if there are any doubles or triples of numbers rolled, your mine is destroyed. So of course Michael, with his goblin-made mine, rolled a double 1 and destroyed his mine for a measly 20 gold. And other people have not had mines yet, and of course Frank had his Fool's Gold played on it as an event, so he couldn't gather any gold either. So after the events phase and the revenue phase, this is what the map looks like. So Michael's lost his mine. Chris managed to upgrade one of his cities, one of his castles to a city, and the other Chris built a mine on one of his tiles. So from here we are ready for the battle phase. Starting from the smallest empire again, a player can then challenge an opposing player. Once you've been challenged, you cannot challenge anybody else. So Rich Dark Elves challenged Phil. Infernal Dwarves then challenged Frank, the top player, with his High Elves. A new player, Connor, with his Siren Ancients, wanted to fight Michael with his Goblins. Connor Al, the other Kingdom of Equitane player, wanted to face off against Dave. He fancied his chances against the Chaos there. I challenged Chris E because I hadn't fought him yet with his Sylvan Elves. And Chris S was the final player left who hadn't been challenged. So once you're the final player and there's no other free players left, you can challenge someone who has already been challenged. So he challenged Phil, and Phil then has the option to play 2 1v1 battles versus each of them, or he can play them both at the same time and do a 2v1 battle. In the case of a 1v1, 2 1v1s, he gets the average from both games, or with the 2v1 he just gets the score that he gets in that game. Thanks again for watching. I hope I've been able to sort of explain how Mighty Empires works. The rules are available online. I can post a link to them. The battle report for this round will be coming up very soon. I played that game today, and I'll also let you know how each of the other players in the campaign did as well. Thanks a lot, see you later.